This man next to me, Jesse Friedman. I'm your mayor, occasionally known as your vice mayor. It's weird. I know I get to see you in the flesh at baseball games, but it's almost like I forgot how to do a show with you in the same room. And it's only been 2 days, but
I'm not muted. I'm not muted this time.
You're not muted. You're not blurry. You're not.
Actually, I have bad news. I had you muted for like the first 5 seconds.
Did you really?
So you might want to run that through the whole.
Do you want to run back?
Welcome into the PHNX D-Back show.
No,
You're the mayor.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing
Wait, so I wasn't muted, but Derek was?
Yeah.
That's actually amazing. How the turntables,
Oh
Derek.
my God. Well, welcome in to another edition of the PHNX D-Back show. I'll say it again right here on PHNX. I am occasionally known as your mayor of this building, and this man's your vice mayor. His mic works, mine doesn't always, and sometimes we switch that up. But welcome in.
It's a fun game we play.
It is a fun game we play. We here cover the Arizona Diamondbacks, as you may know, and they might not be off to the hottest start, but someone on the team absolutely is off to a hot start, and that is Ketel Marte. Obviously, we know Ketel has always been a vital part of this team. He's always kind of been the MVP, but it felt like last year it was definitely a more team effort. Kind of spread it around a little bit more, but so far this season, Ketel has absolutely been on fire.
He really has. And it's felt like just a continuation of what he did in the playoffs. I mean, he was arguably the Diamondbacks' best player throughout the postseason. I guess, I don't know, maybe Merrill Kelly, you want to throw him in that conversation. Sure. There's certainly a lot of guys who are productive, but he was the NLCS MVP for a reason. And it's basically felt like ever since then, he's just continued to hit at that level ever since, right? Yeah, he was outstanding throughout the entire postseason. He obviously had a pretty good 2023 season overall. And in spring training, we joked about how he was going to hit 600 all of spring training. That did not happen. He hit 370, which is still pretty impressive. And he's carried that success right into the regular season so far.
Let's take a look at his numbers so far this season, because as we said, he has absolutely been on fire. Ketel is currently hitting 325 with a 379 OBP. He's got slugging percentage of 597, 5 dingers, 11 RBI, and a 1.5 WAR. And the reason why that is actually fairly impressive is he's already accumulated his season total for WAR from 2020 and 2022 this year. And WAR doesn't go down; it only goes up, right? So,
well, it can go down.
It can take a little bit of negative.
There are some players who have negative WAR right now.
That's right. But I mean, absolutely, like Ketel with his performance, he's on pace to exceed his 2023 season, which was a great year for him as it stands. But
yeah, I
mean, 977 OPS and an OPS plus of 170. Like, his numbers so far are bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned already having matched his baseball reference WAR from 2020 and 2022. Of course, 2020 was a shortened season, so that one, that's not exactly a comparison to a full year. But 2022, he didn't necessarily play every single game of the season or anything like that. But 2022
went through some injuries that year.
Yeah,
right?
there were some injuries, but there's still 137 games. I mean, that's still pretty close to a full season.
It feels like he missed way more than that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and when he was on the field, I think Ketel was certainly not at his best during that year, but yeah, I mean, in 19 games to have put up as much value, at least according to BWAR, as he did in 137 games in 2022, is that's pretty
dope, man. I mean, he's locked in. And another season when he was locked in was 2019. Obviously, that was like one of the big years for him. He slashed 329, 389. 592 with a 981 OPS that year. And there are some similarities so far to this season in regards to his Baseball Savant page.
Yeah, if we have a comparison here of Ketel's Savant page from that outstanding 2019 season that saw him finish 4th in MVP voting, and the season he's currently having. And yes, small sample size. I mean, we could say small sample size till we're blue in the face here. Obviously, he has to do it over a longer period of time.
Injected in my veins.
All of it, pretty much everything on the right is better than the stuff on the left. I guess his whiff rate this year is 20.3%. It was 17.6 back in 2019, but pretty much across the board, Ketel has been better in all of these underlying metrics than he was in a season where he was very, very, very good. So yeah, obviously, as I said, he has to prove that he can do this over a longer period of time. He's not quite all the way to MVP votes just yet. But I will say, Derek, I made a few bold predictions on the show a few weeks ago. And one of them was that Ketel Marte would get MVP votes, and we're off to a good start.
I mean, so far, so good. And I think that there is a lot to be said about the fact that Ketel doesn't have to be the best player on this team. So that, of course, allows him to be the best player on the team, right? I mean, It's just one of those mental kind of aspects where when you kind of can take the pressure off of a guy of being the superstar, of being the guy that everybody looks to, you can kind of just hit the ball. You can go out there and you can focus on that. I know that they do have this mantra of, handing the baton off to the next guy when it comes to their starting lineup. And it really is truly something the guys feel. But Ketel has 3 leadoff home runs. So he's been out there, hitting in that one hole and just smacking the hell out of the ball. And not to mention the fact, I'd like to bring this up. Ketel looks absolutely jacked this year. Like, I've seen Ketel, like, in batting practice wearing kind of a tight short sleeve shirt, and the man looks very big muscular wise this year. So, I mean, there's something to be said about, maybe his physical conditioning mixed with his health. We know that he's had some problems with his hamstrings. So, but we also know what he's capable of over the course of a full season from 2019. If he can put up those numbers this year, it's hard to argue against the Diamondbacks continuing to be a favorite in an NL West that so far has not been as nearly as good as we thought it was going to be out of the gate. The Diamondbacks aren't the only ones that are starting off slow there. But we do have video of Ketel talking about being locked in at the plate.
Yeah. He was asked, this was, of course, after the Tuesday game in which Ketel inexplicably hit a ball at the knees, like out to right center field. I still don't really understand how he pulled the ball in that area of the strike zone. Yeah. But he did. And this is Ketel talking about being locked in this season pretty much in the same way that he was during the playoffs.
Primero, me siento bien, gracias a Dios, tú sabes, estoy muy en salud. Yo trabajo demasiado, esto no me sorprende. Yo trabajo muy duro todos los días, vengo acá a mejorar mi swing y a tratar de ser mejor todos los días.
It's not a coincidence that he kept the same rhythm. I mean, he works hard, and the goal is to be consistent. So he believed that this is just a result of the routine that he puts in between the games.
Does this run feel as good or better than the run you got on in 2019?
Que si este performance, este desempeño se siente mejor que el del 2015.
Sí, por supuesto. Estoy más maduro mentalmente, estoy más fuerte, estoy bien en salud y no me enfoco en eso, ¿sabes? Ahora mismo yo lo que quiero es salud. Dios me dio un talento y el talento con salud ahí tú sabes, eso es algo grande.
Definitely it feels better. I mean, and he's more mature and stronger and better prepared mentally and physically for what's happening. He had God-given talent, and the years had helped him just stay healthy to maintain consistency with it.
That man looks dialed in. That man absolutely looks locked in. Smokey says he looks a little frustrated. I think he looks ready to go hit a ball again is what he looks like. Giselle in the comments says we love a confident king. We absolutely love a confident king. And I think that is what's coming together for Ketel right now. There's that hunger to get back to that same success that they had last year. There's the fact that he's obviously feeling great. there's just a lot of things that are combining here for Ketel to really look like he has a legitimate chance to be a dark horse candidate when it comes to this National League MVP. And when I say dark horse, I mean at least he emerged with setting a Major League Baseball record for consecutive for hitting streak there in the postseason, right? Yeah. There's something to be said about that and the attention that he got. But Ketel deserves that national attention. He is that kind of guy. He is not only a great player, but he is honestly one of my favorite players to watch. And when I mean that, I just mean his actions in the field, the way he jokes with players, the way he tries to always catch guys stepping off base and thinking he's going to tag them or something.
His mannerisms are like so dramatic at times.
They are, and they're
I love
hilarious.
It. Yeah,
it's just so funny.
Did
He's
you see
just
the one
such a
with
funny
Jake
guy to watch.
in the outfield the other day?
What's that?
Where he was like pretending to catch the ball while Jake came in to catch that. Like
he
pop up.
does. That's a classic.
And Jake's like laughing at him, being like, "What are you doing?"
He does it all the time, where he fakes throws like he has the ball or whatever. I mean, honestly, the fact is that if that works one time out of 10, then it's worth it. Him doing it every time.
I don't think it's going to work one time out of 10, but one time out of 100. Right. I mean, you might as well give it a shot.
I don't care. That one time out of 100 is still worth it.
We've seen it work before.
We have seen it work before.
We have.
And also, I mean, of course, it's kind of like the mistakes Blaze Alexander makes. Sometimes they're just boneheaded mistakes, but the only thing you can explain is that in the moment you got confused, and Ketel's adding to that confusion by, in fact, trying his best to just be a scamp out there, and I love it. But these numbers are impressive, and if he can maintain these numbers, it's hard to imagine that the Diamondbacks don't get things back on track here as a team, right? He's not the only one that's had a hot start, right? Jock Peterson has been fairly incredible at the plate for this team this year. And I don't just mean with his power, because I think that's what we were expecting to see. I feel like what's been incredible has been his at-bats. I kind of went in on it yesterday about just his approach at the plate, his ability to kind of dial in and take a lengthy at-bat and see a lot of pitches, gives the pitcher an opportunity to make a mistake. And also, I mean, he's being productive there. Even in an out, you still took a lot of pitches and you made that pitcher work.
Yeah, Jock's at bats have been so good. I mean, I've had like this joke up in the press box with some of the other reporters. It feels like it's 2-0 on him every single time.
It does.
Then I looked it up, and it turned out that wasn't actually the case at all. But
it just feels like
it. The quality of the at bat has been very, very good. Jock Peterson at this point in the season, I believe, has struck out
2.2%. Yeah, one time.
2.2% of the time, which I think is literally just once. Yeah, he has one strikeout compared to 9 walks, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Jock Peterson for a while has been a guy who has good at bats, who doesn't strike out nearly as much as a lot of other sluggers in this league do,
right,
and who does draw his walks. But I mean, 9 walks to 1 strikeout is an outrageous outcome, even over the obviously small sample size that we have so far. And he's hitting third tonight for the Diamondbacks. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., we just got the lineup, getting the day off. Jock Peterson in the 3-hole, and based on the way he started, you feel pretty good about that.
Lourdes is another guy that came out very hot, but kind of came back down to earth. Obviously, he's had a few games where he went 0-4. Right now, he's hitting 263, 333, 500 with 5 home runs and 20 RBI. Again, I told you this beforehand. If at the end of the season, these are Lourdes' numbers, not the 5 RBI part or the 20 or 5 home runs or 20 RBI, but the stat line, right, and the OPS and such, that we'll take that. We'll absolutely take that with a 25, 30 home run season. That's a good productive year. But based on what he looked like out of the gate, it looked like he was an absolute monster coming out of the gate. It looked like re-signing him was the best idea ever. And then, he kind of struggled against teams that weren't the Rockies.
Lourdes has won the Diamondbacks some games this year, right?
I
think about like some of the he had a 3-run homer the other day that would basically prove to be the difference in a win versus a loss for the Diamondbacks. I mean, he has 20 RBI in 18 games. Like, he's still on pace to drive in like 170 runs or something ridiculous this year. So yes, he's taken a step back over the last few days for sure. The numbers have dropped, but he still has a 131 OPS plus, which is really good. I mean, last year Lourdes Gurriel had a 108 OPS plus. The only time he's ever finished the year with higher than 131 is back in 2020. course, the shortened season when he had a 138 OPS plus. So yeah, if Lourdes finished the year with these kind of numbers on a rate basis, you'd feel really, really good about that season. And he has been extremely streaky, right? We've seen this time and time again. So, if you're a fan of this team, you're just hoping that we haven't seen the end of that, that initial hot streak to get the season going. Maybe there's a little bit more left in the tank there.
It's kind of been a fairly mediocre season for a few guys. I know a lot of people are getting, impatient when it comes to Corbin Carroll's production, Gabriel Moreno's production.
For sure.
I think that, again, the slumps happen at different times during the season. It's unfortunate that they're happening to these guys kind of out of the gate. But I do think that they'll get things back on track. Like we've said, you can't help but notice that Corbin is having much more productive at-bats himself versus the first 2 weeks of the season. There does still seem to be something missing there when it comes to his power. Yeah. And I'm still fairly certain that it has something to do with that scary shoulder incident that we had going back to last season.
Yeah.
But we don't really know in regards to that.
He still has I will say just about Corbin real quick. He does have a 345 on base percentage. He's drawn 12 walks.
Yes.
Only 6 strikeouts. So he's hardly struck out this year. He's been getting on base, which if you're Corbin Carroll, just getting to first base has a lot more value than really for a lot of other players around the league. So he still managed to be a productive player kind of in a sense for the Diamondbacks this year, but certainly nothing like the player that we saw last year so far.
Well, on the opposite end of what is going on with Ketel Marte and his potential MVP bid, it would be the potential problems that right now are occurring with the bullpen. And taking a look at the bullpen, I know some things have changed. We had the recent roster moves that added Justin Martinez and Logan Allen to the mix. And I think what we saw to Justin Martinez, you're pretty happy about that in his first outing out there. I felt like that was a pretty big league outing when he went out there and was able to keep the score the same and essentially get through his outing and be really productive with his pitches. He looks like he has some really good stuff. So and that's just his debut. Typically that could kind of go a little haywire on some guys making their debut out of the bullpen. Feel fairly confident about him, but there are still some guys in the bullpen that we just don't know about. We don't know because of the ups and downs that we've seen so far this season. When you take a look at the bullpen after the roster moves and guys that Torey Lovullo can trust, I feel like looking at the group that's right now on the roster, there's just 3 guys that really stand out to me as names that Lovullo can trust. Ryan Thompson, Bryce Jarvis, who has really proved himself so far this season, and Kevin Ginkel. Outside of that, and I mean, there's probably some people that would even say Kevin Ginkel has been a little unreliable.
Has been
times.
quite as good as he has as he was last year. Yeah.
But then you have everyone else. And when I say everyone else, I mean there's this just whole group of guys that there's a lot of unknowns about or what you're going to get out of them because we've seen some very good performances out of them, like such as Scott McGuff, who's really had some great performances this year. If you look at his particular game outings and his numbers, and
it's really
and
good the other day. Yeah, really good the other day.
Really good the other day. Really good to start the season. Right, his first couple, I think his first 3 outings, he didn't allow a run, and I think he was gave up maybe 1 hit in those or 2 hits. But Miguel Castro, another guy who had a really good outing the other day, but then when you look at his body of work this season, definitely has proven to be unreliable. Kyle Nelson, a guy who we both I think thought was going to be a valuable piece to this pen, has been fairly unreliable, and I think that's what
he was really good for a while. Like Kyle Nelson hadn't given up a run until the other day, where he gave up 3 runs and kind of unraveled a little bit.
Gave up
there.
A grand slam.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it wasn't all his.
It wasn't great.
But
he did. Yeah, that's fair.
He blew the game open.
He did give up a grand
slam. And I mean, again, one bad outing does not make a bad pitcher. That's what we saw with Ryan Thompson, and you don't want to definitely hang up an entire pitcher season because of one bad outing, right?
Nelson's ERA is still pretty good.
Yeah, it is
2.7 with a 0.8 WHIP. I mean, you'll still take that.
And
sure.
you're still going to rely on him. You're still going to look to him, and we still don't know what we're going to get out of Logan Allen. But the one guy that I mean, again, you could definitely say yesterday the way things went wasn't his fault by in a lot of ways. But Joe Mantiply has been a guy who was once an all-star for this team when there weren't really anybody to write home about besides Joe and his performances. And yet it feels like ever since Joe Mantiply was an all-star, he has been far from it since that point. right? And it's not to take away that he hasn't had some good outings and didn't, provide this team with some, relief pitching appearances last year where it wasn't terrible, but it just feels like Joe Mantiply very much went from being the most reliable reliever in this pen 2 years ago to being a guy that, when I look at this list right now, has been the least impressive.
Yeah, Joe Mantiply has been, as you said, he had that extraordinary first half of 2022 where he basically didn't walk anyone, like almost literally. I think he had like one walk or two walks at the All-Star break, which was insane. And since then, he hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been great. Generally, his underlying numbers have been a little bit better than the surface numbers. He's just given up more runs than you'd maybe expect, given some of the underlying factors. But at the end of the day, in a bullpen role, like how many runs you give up is pretty important. You're working in relatively small sample sizes.
Exactly.
There's not as much time for those numbers to sort of balance out. So,
especially high leverage situations where you cause the game to go the other way. Now, one thing I will say about the bullpen is that I feel like we've gotten far too used to this bullpen not being able to hold without giving up any runs. I think that's the frustrating part here. We even disagreed about yesterday's show title because I had basically the bullpen blew it. And Jesse was like, not really.
The defense was just such a big factor.
Right.
It's hard to pin that on Mantiply.
Right, and that's true. But at the same time, the problem here is that with this bullpen, they're not very good when it comes to holding the opposition, especially late. They're not good at like overpowering the opposing team, right? The Diamondbacks bullpen ranks 24th in baseball with a 20% strikeout rate.
That's a really important stat for me. Like, you're just going to subject yourself to so much more weirdness
potential. If everybody's a ground ball hitter or fly ball hitter or something like that.
And especially with a defense that's kind of struggling right now. Like the way that you mitigate defensive struggles is to just not allow the opposing hitters to put the ball in play. Yeah. And Diamondbacks relievers have not been good at that so far.
And I mean, they're middle of the pack when it comes to ERA, and their FIP honestly looks like they should be better than their ERA says it is. Their ERA is 4.08, which puts them at 15th in baseball, but they do have a 3.43 FIP. And I mean, again, this team at times has, like, individuals in this bullpen have looked brilliant. They've looked excellent. And that's why I go back to what I've said over the last couple of days about, God, that's frustrating, right? Because you feel like it's not an ability of talent. It's a matter of consistency and being able to perform the way you did in that game every game. And that's baseball. That goes for every position in baseball. It's a matter of, like, the great players did it consistently for a number of years. There's good players that are able to do it and be good at times, but to be able to hold on to that elite level where you're like fully locked in, and like, it's just not. It's hard to get there. It's hard to get there as a baseball player for any particular position, especially when you're a reliever, when you're called on so infrequently, when you don't know even when you're going to be called on or what your role is going to be on a given night, especially when you're one of these middle relief guys. It's still very much up in the air. It still very much feels like before we got Seawald last year, where guys didn't know what their role is going to be, and now they're kind of all over the place with who's going to do what. At least in this case, it feels like Kevin Ginkel has been given that closer role, and it does feel at times like Ryan Thompson is going to be that setup man for him for the time being. So those other guys kind of fit in the middle, but it feels very much disjointed right now. It doesn't feel that far off from being good, though. If Justin Martinez proves to be an asset, and one or two of these guys can really.
What do you think, Jesse, about Justin Martinez? Are you all in?
Well, there's a lot of history between me and Justin Martinez, because anyway. And we won't go there too far.
What is that story?
I will just say that when Justin Martinez came up, I was higher on him than some other folks, and may or may not have received some flack as a result of that. But
this is personal for Jesse.
No, it's not. It's not really personal.
When Justin Martinez goes to the All-Star game, Jesse's gonna
flex on him.
What I've always said about Justin Martinez, and will continue to say, is that if the guy figures out how to throw strikes, he's going to be a very, very good relief pitcher, right? Like a back end, potentially dominant level relief pitcher
Right.
because his stuff is that good.
Right.
We just haven't seen that to this point. But as we discussed the other
haven't
day,
seen him throw it for strikes, and now he's throwing it for strikes, and he has been all season long for the Reno Aces. That's the difference. Is he's lost a little bit of velo, and that little pulling back just a little bit allows him to actually be able to command his pitches. And like you said, if he can now it's just a matter of, can he keep that command and also maybe get that velo back? And if he does, then he's dominant.
I mean, he still threw 101 yesterday.
I know.
So, you know.
I know. I'm not saying it's. I'm just
moved.
saying, like, at times it does feel like he just has to dial it back a little bit for him to pinpoint. But that's something you learn, because when you're young and you're kind of not mature, when you're immature as a player, you just want to throw hard all the time and prove how hard you can throw and just kind of overpower guys. That works for a little while when you're pitching against, you know, high school and single A talent, stuff like that.
Right.
But the more you come along, the more
I was moved
the big league
yesterday
guys say.
watching J Mart.
You were moved?
You were
When
moved?
that one at bat where he threw like nothing but breaking pitches.
I
I was sitting there and I was like, I was like fanning myself in the chair, being like, "What am I witnessing right now?" This, because he threw nothing but like hard fastballs, and they were all over the place, right?
Yeah.
But if he's really honing in on that, I don't. What is it particularly?
It
that
was
throws?
he threw a lot of sliders yesterday.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was probably most of his sliders.
His breaking pitches yesterday looked good.
Yeah,
they really did.
But I will say, I mean, to what you were just talking about, his fastball command was not good yesterday. He threw 7 of them, and only 2 of them were in the strike zone, and that's a pitch he's going to be trying to get in the zone pretty much every time. Right. So that's still going to be a big thing. It was a little weird. It seemed like his command of his breaking stuff was actually better than command of his fastball. If he can get, you know, command of his fastball dialed in as well, that would be a potential game changer. But yeah, he remains an intriguing bullpen arm, and I mean, he's still 22 years old. So you still feel like there's a chance. It's a lot easier said than done, but you feel like there's a chance that a guy like that can figure out how to throw strikes and become pretty darn good overnight as a result of that.
6 bullpen losses this year, tied for 3rd most in Major League Baseball. And I think that's the big story here of the bullpen. Is the fact that it does feel like the bullpen once again deserves that meme I made of them and is costing this team games. You could put a little bit on the offense. I mean,
you absolutely should.
The
put some on the
offense has not been scoring
yeah.
late, and their runners in scoring position, their hits with runners in scoring position was embarrassing in this series with the Cubs. I still don't understand how they put up 12 runs while going 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position.
that was impressive.
That's just impressive, right? So.
The only 2 teams with more bullpen losses than the Diamondbacks are the Miami Marlins and the Houston Astros.
Houston Astros, wow.
But the Houston Astros, if you looked at the standings recently, we're going to get to our power rankings a little bit later. The Houston Astros are now nowhere near the top 10.
They better not be
I think they're 4-13.
I was going to say, you son of a bitch, you do not put them back.
They are not in the top 10. They've had Josh Hader has not been quite as advertised so far, but 6-14. Thank you. I think I was getting that from last week. Yeah, it's been a brutal start for the Astros. But yeah, 6 bullpen losses at this stage in the season is pretty rough. I mean, the D-backs set a record a couple of years ago, right? Or I think they were tied with maybe another team, and with bullpen losses, I think they were in the low 40s, and they're on pace to be roughly in that same territory this year. So
I need to share something about the Astros real quick. There was a promotion on one of our betting partners. I won't say which one because I don't believe we gave them an ad read today. No free ads.
Yeah.
And they had an MLB bet and get promotion where it was like you bet on which team is going to have the best record after April, and then even if they don't win, you get bonus bets for each win that they accumulate throughout the month. And I chose the Houston Astros. I looked at the odds and I said, the Astros are being disrespected here. They were like something like 12th. Yes. They were like 12th, highest odds to finish with the best record after April. And I was like, that's so disrespectful. Championship experience. I mean, there's a chance they have the worst record in baseball after April.
There might be.
It'd be unlikely, but
it'd be likely.
The White Sox are really giving it a run for their money.
Oh, they really are. And so are the Marlins.
The Marlins are playing better ball recently.
That's true.
4-6 in their last 10, Derek. Don't look now.
Don't look now.
The Oakland A's are currently 2.5 games better than the Houston Astros.
What an awful take.
This is a crazy sport.
I really wish I did the Royals.
Well, I'll tell you, there's another promotion you can get in on, and it is with one of our betting partners for sure. It's the Grand Slam Jackpot promotion every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through the Major League Baseball season with our friends at BetMGM. This is a weekly bet, and you get a weekly bet and get promotion. Place a $10 or more wager on any player to hit a home run every weekend. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If the player hits a grand slam on that day, you can win up to $50,000 daily, or your share of that daily prize with every other winning bettor that also bets on that same player that gets that grand slam. So make sure, of course, you get down on that BetMGM Sportsbook app. If you haven't signed up already, do so using our code of PHNX. You can download the Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager, and you will receive up to $1,500 back if the bonus bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. So get down with Damon and Shane over there at the PHNX Bet Show. Listen to these guys. They know what they're talking about. Tail them. Sign up for BetMGM. Use that bonus code of PHNX. Place your first sportsbook wager through the Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You will receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY, 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I was off key. All right. Of course, make sure to check out Circle K.
You like plugging one of your ears?
Yeah, like I was just trying to get.
Yeah, he's in a recording studio.
All right. Make sure to check out Circle K, of course. Not only can you find.
I checked out Circle K this morning.
Did you check out Circle K this
I
morning?
did.
Was the gas is cheap at Circle K? Let me tell you.
Guess what? As a premium member of the Inner Circle program,
You get
I
5
got
cents off.
5 cents off per gallon when I filled up this morning.
Did you? Let me ask you this: did you stack it with the Easy Pay option?
God damn it, I should have.
You should have.
Tell me more about this. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about this.
Easy Pay option. That's when you drive by and you see that Circle K has 2 different prices for gas. There's a reason for that. You get down on the Easy Pay. Easy Pay is great for 2 reasons. 1, obviously get you a discount, but 2, you know what happens. Sometimes out there, you might not want to use your debit card at certain ATM machines just due to safety reasons. You can protect yourself and all of your money by using the Easy Pay option, because it absolutely will come directly out of your bank account with no other, no one's swiping your credit card information or anything like that could happen. Easy Pay is a safe way to pay. Plus, it gets you that 10 cents off every single gallon that you fill up.
Till the end of time.
Till the end of time. You become a premium member over at the Inner Circle. You get 5 cents off. And if you sign up right now and you're not a member, you will get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups by joining the Inner Circle for free right now.
Do you like that? Free money?
Oh, I love free money. I'm a big fan of free money. I need a lot of free money right now. Let me tell you, medical expenses, taxes, your boy is broke, right? But of course, I'm saving money right now, and you can too. By joining the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. We thank you guys for being here.
Do you think Mr. Simpson thinks he's helping when he does that?
No, Max comes over like some sort of vulture and circles us once we start doing ad reads, or if we bring up somebody
It's unreal.
that's not currently a partner, and you just see him and you're like, get out of here, Max. There's
Just
also this
stares at
thing.
you.
The other day, Max told me that when I speak to him, that I should say it with my whole chest. He said those words to my face. So now Max gets the full experience, by the way, of me talking to Max every single time by calling him Maxwell D'Angelo Simpson. Like I got to talk to him like that. It's weird, but I get loud.
There's no way that's his middle name.
I don't know. There's no way to prove that, but he's out here now. Once again, the vulture is circling, but we do thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live, because we've been breaking news around here, and you know what we do. We bring you the best coverage of Valley Sports. Of course, leave us a like. Gabby would love it if you did. We don't know if Gabby's is Gabby in the lineup today to drop us a like?
He is in the lineup.
Okay.
And
well, when is he going to be scratched?
Hopefully he's not.
He's going to be scratched.
Hallelujah.
He's scheduled to be scratched about 2.5 hours before game time. That's been the trend the last couple
drop
of days.
a like before he gets scratched, that's for sure. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback, and those 5-star reviews definitely mean the world to us. Well, it is time now for us to discuss the other teams in Major League Baseball, not just ours and our potential MVP candidate in Ketel Marte. We would like you to take a look now at our MLB Power Rankings because, of course, we're trying to hurt feelings. Jesse, you wanna explain yourself here some more? I do like what I see at the top. I do like the direction that this has gone to at the top.
Yeah, so the Dodgers dropped 3 spots. So
Got him.
I imagine you're not too disappointed with
Not
that.
even a little bit.
The Atlanta Braves lost Spencer Strider for the year, and I'm not sure that it actually matters because right now, Derek, the Atlanta Braves, we do have ranked number 1. Have an 842 team OPS, and the next highest team is the Brewers at 796.
That's insane.
How many hitters do the Diamondbacks have with an 842 OPS? And they're a team that's actually started pretty well offensively, right?
And they're deep.
Ketel Marte and Blaze Alexander and Jock Peterson.
Blaze.
That's it. The guys that we've talked about.
But both Blaze and Jock are part-time players.
Blaze
right?
has an 846 OPS
Blaze
on the
played a
dot,
lot.
1043 for Jock, 976 for Ketel.
Blaze has played a lot.
Whew.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's so anyway, yes, the Braves can hit, and so I have them ranked number 1 because they just had a really good week. They're 12-5, and their offense is so ridiculously good that it might not matter what their pitching staff looks like. Apparently,
We talked about it too. Like they have Bryce Elder just sitting in AAA, ready for when they had a starting pitcher injury. The guy was an all-star last year. Like he probably was better than he should have been last year, but like I just that's just crazy. That's wild.
The Braves are they're just a team that can't be stopped at times. And I think that when we look at the construction of this team, the ups and downs that they might have at times, even though the downs there's not a lot of downs, but like obviously the postseason last year didn't go their way. But this team is just poised to strike, I feel like, at any time, no matter how much loss they experience. When you talk about the Diamondbacks, they've been severely handicapped by the injury losses that they've experienced. And if they were to lose a pitcher the quality of Spencer Strider, I don't know what I don't know what the mood would be like with this team. I don't know how they could go on and continue winning. And that's something that the Braves just seem built to do.
When you have that kind of star power in your lineup, it covers for so many other things that could go wrong. Yeah. And that's maybe a weakness, I guess, for the Diamondbacks in some sense that we've seen a little bit of. I mean, their offense has still been holding their own on the whole, as we'll get to in a second, but they don't have quite the star power in the middle of the lineup that the Braves do. Like for the Diamondbacks, the depth of their lineup is a really important thing. And so if you lose a couple of those pieces, suddenly, things start to feel a little bit different. Right. But running down the list, we can pull up the full list again. For those on the audio side, we'll just run through these. So we've got the Yankees moving up to number 2. They continue to be outstanding. They're 13-6. Another good week for the Orioles. They're 12-6. They're in number 3. The Dodgers, who did just lose a series to the Washington Nationals, they I think lost 4 out of 6 since our power rankings last week. So not a great week for the Dodgers. They're in the number 4 spot at 12-9. Then we've got Guardians, Royals, who continue to win and now have the best run differential in baseball at +40. The Milwaukee Brewers are at number 7. They're 11-6, continuing to play well. The Rangers, they drop a few spots. They're 10-9 now. Still a pretty good team, obviously. The Phillies had a pretty decent week. They're up to 11-8 on the season. They're in the number 9 spot. And then we have the Chicago Cubs rounding things out at number 10. They, of course, just took 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks.
The Phillies with a -6 run differential.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty.
The only team on your list with a non-plus run differential.
What I think is a little bit scary about the Phillies is that they haven't scored runs this year. I think they've scored 72 runs, I want to say, and the Diamondbacks have scored
more than that.
The D-backs have scored. Yeah, the Diamondbacks have scored 106 total. So the D-backs offense has been way better than the Phillies offense so far, but the Phillies pitching has really been good. Christopher Sanchez just had a really, really good outing. Ranger Suarez, I think, just threw a complete game shutout. I want to say
it was against
day.
The Rockies.
It was against the Rockies, so there is an asterisk there. But the Phillies are going to hit eventually. At least I feel pretty confident saying that.
Yeah.
And if there's some validity to what has gone right for their pitching staff so far, the Phillies are going to be a pretty darn good baseball team. So I'm not too worried about their negative run differential at this point.
Couple of other honorable mentions. The Padres, which are currently in second place over the Diamondbacks in the National League West.
Michael King, the centerpiece of that Juan Soto trade has been very, very good the last couple times.
The true centerpiece of that whole entire trade, right? Forget Juan Soto.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Juan. I was talking about the centerpiece going back to the Padres, but you're right, Derek. Juan Soto was really just an afterthought. But the Padres are off to a decent start. They did just lose Yu Darvish.
They did.
He has a neck injury. Neck injury of some sort. So, keeping their starters healthy is certainly important. The Padres don't have a ton of starting rotation depth, but they've managed to stay afloat so far.
Who else you got?
We have the Rays. They're always going to be in the mix here just because they're the Rays, I guess. They're 10-9 to start the year, a -18 run differential. Not a great start for them. I don't know if you saw Pete Fairbanks, what he said after blowing a save last night.
Oh, yeah.
He was asked about what went wrong in an outing, and he said something along the lines of, it wasn't a specific type of suck. It was an all-encompassing suck, is basically what Pete Fairbanks explained.
I can relate.
Yeah, it was. You guys should go watch the clip.
Had
a
couple of shows that have felt like that. For sure. Blue Jays,
never, Derek. Never.
Not you, me. Blue Jays 10-9, also 10-9 there. Both of them have a very similar negative run differential, -18 for the Rays, -17 for the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays just still feel like a fairly complete team. Dalton Varsho had a big dinger for them yesterday.
Yeah, I think I want to say he hit 2.
Yeah.
Varsho did not get off to a good start for the Blue Jays. Obviously, he had a bit of a rough first season with Toronto, but hey, we talked about Ketel Marte being at 1.5 WAR. Dalton Varsho is already at 1.
Yeah.
So with a 123 OPS plus, the power has come back. He has 4 homers on the season. So
and I bet he's still great defensively out there.
Yeah, the defense is always going to be outstanding. So if he's able to maintain being even just a little bit above league average offensively, he's a really, really good player.
Speaking of spying on our exes, Josh Rojas also hit a home run for the Mariners yesterday.
He did.
Notorious relief pitcher for notorious relief pitcher for the Mariners, of course. He changed his profile picture on Twitter to that, and it drove Shane absolutely insane. Shane wants to know, is this some sort of game to you? But Josh Rojas did get Shane's back with a dinger yesterday.
Yeah, Josh Rojas has had a really good year offensively, so I'm not really knocking Josh Rojas. I did think that was a little odd, though. Like, when your team it'd be one thing if you had to pitch because you're getting blown out, but you're like 6 games over 500 or something. But the Mariners got off to a really bad start, and Josh Rojas making an appearance on the mound was not a happy thing for them or their fan base. So I'm kind of curious how other Mariners fans felt about that.
It's how Josh felt about it. He felt like it was hilarious, so he wanted to make it his profile.
I guess so.
Did he give up any runs in that outing, Jesse? I don't believe he did. I think he gave up 0 runs in that outing. So
can I find
maybe the man is just proud.
He's made 2 appearances for the Mariners.
What's his ERA?
His ERA is 9. So it could be worse. He's only given up one hit.
One hit, 1 run.
Yeah, well, 2 runs. 2 runs in 2 innings, but only 1 hit allowed.
Yeah.
So, I guess a couple of walks in there, maybe they're just playing small ball against him because they couldn't find a way to get the barrel on the ball. But
it's the way 62 miles an hour coming in on the inside.
Right? He was bringing out the full bag of
Mariners,
tricks there.
9-10, Pirates 11-8 with a +11 run differential.
Continue to disrespect the Pirates, Jesse.
No matter how high you
skeptical.
raise that flag, it always slowly comes back down, doesn't it?
I'm just saying they were 9-3 last week. Now they're 11-8. That's a 2-5 week for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He knew they were frauds. He knew they were frauds this whole time.
Ebbs and flows, Jesse. They're going to come back. They're going to be hot again. You watch.
Plus
Don't
19.
erase us.
We'll see.
Plus 19 run differential for our Arizona Diamondbacks, by the way, who also deserve an honorable mention there.
They do. The Diamondbacks have a better run differential, then I'll just list out some teams here. They have a better run differential than the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have a better run differential than the Texas Rangers, the Philadelphia Phillies, Chicago Cubs. All of those teams that we just discussed. They've scored a lot more runs than their opponents, and
they played 7 games against the Rockies.
Yeah, granted, they beat the Rockies 16-1 on opening day. So if you want to play the game or you take that away, suddenly they look.
But they
a
also
little
beat
bit
the
more
Yankees
average.
7-0, right? Like it's not like it's not like all of the dominating wins have been against weak teams, right?
And as we've talked about at length, like it's not all that hard to imagine this 9-10 Diamondbacks team being, dare I say, 14-5 if they avoid a few crucial mistakes at inopportune times. And particularly, if they were able to get a little bit healthier. Of course, it's always tough playing like the what if game with health, because every team deals with that.
Yeah.
But just on the basis of like mistakes that like a major league team really should not be making, Diamondbacks have had quite a few of those here in the first few weeks.
Look at what's happened in the NBA. The health of certain players has completely changed the landscape for certain matchups for certain teams. All of a sudden, teams like the Chicago Cubs, or not the Cubs, excuse me, there's another team, it's called the Chicago Bulls. They are licking their chops at the ability to possibly take advantage of, key players being out, right? So with baseball, it's the case. It's a matter of not only staying healthy through spring training, which is something that we always heard from players. This year, it felt like I heard that more often than I've heard in years past, where they just said the thing they're really working on is just trying to stay healthy. And like that, It felt like such a cop-out answer, but with the amount of injuries we've already seen so far this season, you can understand why that's such a priority for these guys. Kind of got to get over that first hump, and then like you can hit your stride for the marathon that is the 162 game season.
I do think like in the NBA, health is very important, because an NBA team can look a whole lot different if like the one superstar player, the two superstar players are down. Whereas in baseball, theoretically, you can withstand that a little bit better. There's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot more players on the team. In the NBA, it's just so the whole league is so centered around the success and the health of just a few select superstar players. Baseball's not really like that.
What do the Braves need with a star starting pitcher when they're putting up 40 runs a game, right? Like
right. It doesn't. Yeah, they could probably win with you on the mound. At least a few games there. So
my elbow feels a little sore right now just talking about all of this, but. Of course, we thank you guys for being here right now on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Of course, if you are a diehard, we very much appreciate you being here, and we love you, and we thank you for being part of our family. If you're not a diehard, we implore you to join us over here. See this shirt? I'm going to dangle this little Sunday Fun Day job out there. We got beautiful shirts like this over at the PHNX Locker, and one can be yours for absolutely free for signing up and becoming a part of the diehard family. Of course, you also get that diehard membership card. You get access to all of our premium written content, entrance to the Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. In fact, we are doing another Discord only mailbag edition this week. So if you are a diehard, make sure to join us in the Discord and provide us your questions, and we will have that video up for you guys. You also get discount on all of our events, including our upcoming takeover at Chase Field on May 4th, which is Gabby Moreno bobblehead night. We are all sold out for our pool party on July 31st. But if you were a diehard member, you could get a discount there as well. Another great way to save money is to open up a checking account right now with Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Look, there are lots of places that you can put your money. There are plenty of banks. There's plenty of cryptocurrency out there and all of that, but you really want to trust your money and your financial decisions with someone that cares about you and has your best interests in mind, not a salesperson at one of these glorified banks that is just trying to get you to sign up for more stuff. Desert Financial, of course, you can look to them for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. When you open a free checking account online right now, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. They got me started on my home ownership journey. They can get you started as well. And I mean that. Not every the one mistake I made going into the first bank I ever banked with years ago was thinking that a personal banker really had my best interests in mind. And you would think that that was the case. There's people in this life we trust, librarians, personal bankers, certain people that you just think that have your back. And you can't. So watch out for those librarians too. But the good folks
They'll
at
get
Desert
you with
Financial,
those book fees.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, they tell you that there's no more late fees, but they'll just charge you for the book a week after you don't return it.
And that's why Desert Financial comes in.
That's
You save some money,
exactly,
and you can all of a sudden plan for these librarians,
Yeah.
these stingy librarians.
Yeah, and make sure you go over there and listen to what their financial experts have to say, and not somebody that doesn't care about you and love you and trust you.
Do people still go to libraries?
I do. I have one right next to my house. I go all the time. I don't even.
You go to it?
I physically go to
You
it.
read
Yes.
books there?
That felt not. That there was late. The there was late, wasn't it, Damon? Wasn't it?
You're
more
right. I
Like,
just meant,
wasn't
do
he
you read
was like,
books in
"Do you
general?
read books like that? You got me a book for Christmas 2 years ago. For Christ's sake, man. Of
Yeah,
course
I mean,
have you read
books.
Jesse,
Several
this
times.
is
Several
also
times.
news
Okay,
to me.
all
I didn't know Derek could read either.
Oh, I hate you guys. I have to read every day on the show. You
I
know
will.
that.
To be fair,
You know that. I got to read a Game Time ad read right now.
people are always like, "Oh, Jesse, you're so you're so well educated with your your glasses and everything," and they assume that I would be the type of person to like read books. And I just don't.
See,
I just do.
you're a
I
fraud.
just
I'm
do
out
not.
here bettering myself and reading all sorts of books, telling about the Arizona Diamondbacks books I read all the time. And he's like, I don't care. See, Yoshi got it. He saw that. That. Do you read books? And then it was like ... there. Like, shut up, Jesse. Get out of here. Anyway, I'm going to go to, I need someone to go to a baseball game with, because I'm not going with this guy anymore. So make sure to join me and get some tickets at Game Time, by the way. Like I said, that's what we got to do now. At last minute ticket deals, best option for you to go. Save up to 60% off buying tickets last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, all sorts of stuff. They have flash deals on their app that you can get on. You save even more with exclusive in-app deals. So you got to have that app. You got to search those events that you're looking for. And of course, sometimes they'll just let you know, hey, get down right now on something. Maybe you weren't even intending to go out, but you're bored and looking for something to do. Those flash deals come in handy. Of course, you can also take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time by using our code of PHNX. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Do it now. All right. Well, we do know we have this upcoming series with the San Francisco Giants that starts today. No rest for the weary. Just travel back to San Francisco. I think the Giants are also traveling back to San Francisco.
The Giants are coming from Miami. Yeah, they are. That's a long trip.
No day off. So
long,
4-game
long way.
series starts tonight. Let's take a look at, do we have the probable pitchers for this series? Ryan Nelson has a tall task against Logan Webb in game 1. But after that, it's the big fellas for the Diamondbacks, Jesse, including Jordan Montgomery making his debut on Friday against Blake Snell.
Hey man, there's a big difference potentially between pre-cutter emphasis Ryan Nelson and post-cutter emphasis Ryan Nelson.
Yeah.
So
I do know
he might be better than Logan Webb for all we know, Derek. We'll
wow.
we'll find out. Ryan Nelson has looked pretty good the last couple times out. Obviously, a really big test going against a guy who is very, very good in Logan Webb. But yes, a fun pitching matchup nonetheless. And then, as you mentioned, Jordan Montgomery, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly going the rest of the way for the D-backs. Of course, we got the Scott Boras game happening on Friday with Montgomery and Snell. That game is only on Apple TV Plus. So before you all, spam us with Twitter DMs about how to watch the game,
deal with it. Deal with it. It's on Apple TV Plus.
It is on Apple TV Plus, and I want to say there's a free trial option that you might be able to take advantage of, but you're not going to be able to watch Friday's game. Obviously, a big one with Jordan Montgomery making his debut. You're not going to be able to watch that the way that you normally do on, the MLB broadcast.
Let's go. Rory Joey in the chat saying, rooting from Alaska. Let's go.
Wow.
I have family in Alaska, Jesse. That's awesome.
Really?
I do have family in Alaska.
You have family in Alaska.
I have an uncle that lives in Alaska. Absolutely.
On Friday, we show that we're clear. Jordan Montgomery shows, hey, Blake Snell, who are you to this game?
Hey,
Cool Cy Young, bro. Say that to my World Series ring.
You're not wrong. But if we could put that graphic back up there really fast, I do want to talk about one thing that I find interesting, which is right now, and I know this is meaningless based on how few games these pitchers have pitched, but converted reliever Jordan Hicks is doing really well so far for the Giants in their rotation. He is 2-0 with a 1.57 ERA. That's going to be a really interesting matchup against Merrill Kelly in the finale in Game 4. But man,
Kyle Harrison, I mean, the Game 3 starter against Zach Allen. Harrison's one of the best lefty pitching prospects in baseball. Been kind of mixed results up to this point, but yeah, he can be pretty good too.
Elise asks a very good question. She wants to know, did Apple get the notes about the mayor of Phoenix, Derek Montilla, to dye his hair purple again?
I do believe that Heidi Watney will be on duty tomorrow.
Oh my God.
So,
let's see if we can make it happen.
I guess unfortunately, because the last time it had already happened, right? You'd already dyed your hair. The whole thing had already happened. At this point, it's just hearsay.
She was so close to getting the right story. It's just not a story that
she was right there.
If she really had all of it, she wouldn't have even told the story on TV. Which I understand. That
who's to say, Derek? I don't know. I think like the guy who hosts the Diamondbacks podcast dying is like, I think that's still an interesting story.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I'm actually going to disagree with you on that, but. This is going to be a big series for the Diamondbacks. Not only is this a fight in the NL West, it's a 4-game series in San Francisco. A lot of narratives here, a lot of storylines, including Jordan Montgomery making his debut and what kind of starting pitcher is he going to be for this team? If he's what he was last year, especially for the Rangers, sign me all the way up. But there
are a couple of other storylines with some players facing their former teams in this series, right? Nick Ahmed, of course, facing the Diamondbacks.
That's right.
Ahmed has had a pretty decent start to the season. I'm not going to say he's been destroying the baseball necessarily, but he has a 656 OPS, a 268 batting average, which is not great, but for a player who gives you the kind of defensive value that Nick Ahmed does, that's a pretty valuable baseball player. So he's off to a decent start for them. And then, of course, Jock Peterson, who we discussed earlier, returning to his former home out there in he's a Palo Alto native, I believe. So Jock Peterson's a Bay Area guy, and of course played for the Giants last year. So we'll see how that goes for him.
Something else that I'm interested to see how it goes, Jesse, is how does it go with Angel Hernandez the rest of the season? Because now Angel Hernandez has gone from just a funny thing that we all know about in baseball, an umpire that's terrible at his job and a fairly high profile one at that is terrible at his job. But his calls this year have been absolutely egregious, including one call that set the record for basically the worst strike call in the history of keeping track of such things, right? 6.81 inches, I think it was, outside of the strike zone. It was far. It was very far. It was incredible. And it was one of those situations where, it has caused now Angel Hernandez's job to seriously come into question and as to why he is allowed to maintain it. And I do have Saul Bookman here who's raising his hand. Saul, Saul, your thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts on that.
Okay.
I just, we have a VIP in here from the Diamondbacks. And I just wanted to make sure, since we were playing the Giants, you guys didn't bring up Nick Ahmed.
No. No, Saul. No.
We would never.
Why would he do that?
We actually
did bring up Nick Ahmed.
Talk about how good he is.
We talked about
it was all positive things. It was all positive.
I don't know. That man's an instigator. And
we go, Nick Ahmed, 268 right now. That's really good for him.
Yeah.
That's like a regular player hitting 320.
Look,
Nick Ahmed hitting 260, like, he actually has been sort of a revelation for the Giants because that's a baseball team that just simply did not have someone to play shortstop. Mm-hmm. And I think he's among the league leaders in some of the defensive metrics too. So he's turned things around pretty nicely. Obviously, it's still early though.
We're not talking about, we're not seriously talking, because here's the thing. The VIP that he's talking about is Derek Hall, who just walked past us shortly. And
it's another day at the PHNX office.
Considering we're on the topic of Angel Hernandez losing his job due to performance, or that he should, I guess it's time for me to just wrap it up, it's been a fun 3 years here, and there's no way that Derek Hall being in this office doesn't signal that today is my last show. So I just wanted to thank all of you for allowing me to come into your lives this much.
That's gonna be like Bill Armstrong when he was here and he was calling Petey from Sal's office. That's gonna be Derek Hall
Bill
with
Armstrong
you.
had a lot of notes for Petey. He had a lot of notes for Petey. I'm not ready to be judged by Derek Hall in that same way. First thing he's going to tell me is that I spell my name wrong, and I will be damned if I'm going to hear that. But
you definitely take the high ground there. I mean, you spell it correctly, and
for sure,
it's not made to 2 R's with a CK, unnecessarily clunky.
Yeah, but anyway. We do have Jesse's Blaze Alexander story, by the way, before we get out of here.
Yeah.
As the founder and proprietor of the Blaze Alexander fan club, I give you the floor. Now, Jesse, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a quick little nugget that I picked up with a couple of other reporters yesterday that I thought was really funny and wanted to share. So I believe this was after Tuesday's game. Diamondbacks, of course, beat the Cubs 12-11, big dramatic baseball game. And I believe it was then that Blaze Alexander came back to the clubhouse, of course, as you do after the game ends, and his locker was cleared out. There was nothing there. And Blaze Alexander, for a moment, told us that he thought he had just been sent down, or at least was concerned that he had just been sent down. What other conclusion would you draw? Absolutely. Right. And in reality, his locker had simply been moved down, so now he has a corner spot. So good for Blaze Alexander. He's moving up in the world. And it turns out that apparently there was just some sort of leaking happening from the ceiling, in that specific spot or something like that. And so they just moved Blaze's locker down several spots in order to make it so that I guess water wasn't falling on some
Why
of his
couldn't
stuff.
This story end without this being embarrassing? Why couldn't this not be
I saw the light for myself.
Oh,
there was some it didn't look great. It was just this one locker though. It's not like the whole clubhouse was compromised or something. That would be a big problem. That you talking about having to relocate the entire team to another spot below the stadium. That would be complicated. That did not happen. But yeah, it was pretty funny hearing that story from Blaze. He was I thought I'd been sent down, even though he's been off to a pretty good start for the Diamondbacks. So
is there no end to the embarrassment that is Arizona sports at times? Can we not? My God, can we have a locker room that doesn't leak and teams pay their hotel bills and such? This is just wild to me. But
yeah,
oh my God. Anyway, yeah, that's. There's no other conclusion that you draw from your locker not being there anymore. I probably a leak wouldn't be in my top 10 reasons as to why my locker wasn't there anymore. But
yeah,
we do have a fun story tonight, or a fun story with this series and a fun series ahead to watch. Going to be interesting to see Jock playing back in San Francisco again and all that.
Yeah.
But Diamondbacks have to, kind of have to pull things out here if they want me to dye my hair purple. That's the big key.
That's
here.
true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah. That Cubs series did not improve our chances. I guess we're still at 7.
7 games.
7 more wins that the Diamondbacks need. They are 9-10.
Yep. How many more? Now they have to have a winning record.
They have to go. Right? They have to go 7-5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7-5 the rest of the month of April.
Making it harder on yourselves to dye my hair purple. I mean, again, I don't throw this out there just for fun. I take this seriously. Make sure you make my hair turn purple. That's I don't think you can. I dare you to try. Though,
I think this is some sort of joke.
Yeah, is this some sort of game? Do I look like a clown to you down there?
Yeah, you think Derek's some sort of clown that puts purple hair on and stuff?
I just dye my hair purple and then I have to go to the supermarket like that. Is this some sort of game to you?
This is real life.
I take this seriously. Piece of Yoshi says 7-6. I don't like that he's doing that. It's not a winning record for the entire season, by the way.
No, I don't think 7-6 would work.
It's a winning record for the month of April.
They only have 12 games left in the month, so 6-6 wouldn't be good. It has to be 7-5.
Ernesto said it'll be 3 when they sweep the Giants. Attaboy. That's the attitude. That's the kind of can-do spirit
that's
we need.
one approach that they
sure.
could take for sure. Yeah.
Of course, we will be back with our post-game show tomorrow night after that first start by Jordan Montgomery. Cannot wait to discuss that, see how he does. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. This absolute maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. Make sure you follow us on everything. We appreciate your time. Can't wait to watch this team next couple of games. Hopefully they can pull it out. So we will see you with the post-game show. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Derek Hall doesn't come directly into the office to make sure that I don't do this show anymore.
We all silly like the mayor.